development issues, discuss policy options, and formulate global policy responses.
Recognize.
2 suspected drug traffickers have been taken into custody after 416 kilograms of cocaine were seized off the coast of Dominica. A national security helicopter intercepted a fast boat in which the cocaine was found. Coming up, the deaths of 2 migrants crossing into the United States has shifted the debate on migration in the Democratic Party. Don't go away.
Who's moving the chess? What interests motivate the actors behind each event?
Se despliega el tablero.
Uncritical Moves investigates every event from Monday to Friday. Only on Telesur.
The bodies of a Salvadoran father and daughter who drowned while trying to cross into the United States from Mexico have been taken for forensic examination. The deaths of Oscar Martinez and 2-year-old Angie Valeria have provoked indignation in Latin America and raised the temperature in the debate over migration in the United States. The government of El Salvador has agreed to fly the bodies home, but many hold the U.S. administration responsible. In El Salvador, the mother and father of Oscar Martinez spoke about their son and granddaughter. They showed pictures of the family and explained why they had decided to take the risk of traveling to the United States. The immigration issue dominated the first Democratic Party presidential debate in the United States. Candidates attacked U.S. President Donald Trump's border policies, calling them heartless.
Watching that image of Oscar and his daughter Valeria is heartbreaking. It should also piss us all off. If I were president today, and it should spur us to action, if I were president today, I would sign an executive order that would get rid of Trump's zero tolerance policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, and the metering policy. This metering policy is basically what prompted Oscar and Valeria to make that risky swim across the river. They have been playing games with people who are coming and trying to seek asylum at our ports of entry.
That tragic photo of that parent, that child, and I'm saying this as a father, every American should feel that in their heart, and every American should say, that is not America, those are not our values, but we have to get under the skin of why we have this crisis in our system, because we're not being honest about the division that's been fomented in this country. The way that American citizens have been told that immigrants somehow created their misery and their pain and their challenges. For all the American citizens out there who feel you're falling behind, who feel the American dream's not working for you, the immigrants didn't do that to you.
The reason that they're separating these little children from their families is that they're using Section 1325 of that act, which criminalizes coming across the border, to incarcerate the parents and then separate them. Some of us on this stage have called to end that section, to terminate it. Some, like Congressman O'Rourke, have not. And I want to challenge all of the candidates to do that.
Our correspondent in Washington, D.C., Jorge Gestoso, can explain to us what to expect from the second debate to be held tonight.
Thank you. A lot of expectations tonight for the second tier of Democratic candidates in a second debate, 10 of them. Among them, the ones who are leading the polls, we're talking about Joe Biden, we're talking Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, among others. And the discussion to be seen and to be watched is 2 different approaches among the Democratic Party. the conservative wing represented by mostly Joe Biden and the progressive wing presented by the most favorite and more well-known name among the candidates. We're talking about Bernie Sanders. Precisely last night was the first night of the debate, and the candidate who also is being seen as the most progressive, we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, was unanimously decided to be among the experts, the pundits, the person who really shined on that first debate. Immigration was a key subject that has been discussed, and it was already the outrage of all of 10 candidates after that picture that came out of a father and a baby and her daughter of 10 years old drowned in the Rio Bravo trying to reach the shores of the US. Immigration then has been one of the issues that also in terms of the conditions that the migrants are being held has been created an outrage and also has been presented to the courts. We're talking about a federal judge has received a request of activists demanding, basically what they're saying is it's needed an immediate supervision and visit to those detention centers that has been called also concentration camps because of the outrageous, absolutely unconditions or no respected of human rights, and where children are being kept in cages and with no food, with no blankets, with no soap, sleeping on the floor, and for many, many days, just way beyond what the law established. So tonight, very important then to watch what the Conservative Party, the conservative wing of the Democratic Party, and the progressive wing are going to clash, and who's going to end up being the winner. We get back to you now.
The United Nations is concerned about punitive measures taken against non-governmental organizations saving lives in the Mediterranean. The UN Refugee Agency is worried about the fate of the captain of a sea-watch vessel who defied the Italian government to head to the island of Lampedusa on June 26th. The ship was carrying 42 migrants rescued off the coast of Libya and had been in international waters since June 12th. The captain of the Sea-Watch vessel, Carola Raquette, said that the organization has sought to work with European states, but that they have no real interest in finding a solution to the situation.
From the beginning, we have tried to cooperate with the authorities. We have requested every day the engagement of the responsible countries, which in the beginning was Libya, who offered us to go to Tripoli as a port of safety, which is totally unacceptable according to the law cases which already have been happening, and due to the humanitarian situation and the civil war. We have engaged with Italy as the closest place of safety, but we also have engaged with the flag state, with Germany, with Malta and with France, and also the European Commission. It's been made very clear that none of these actors actually has any interest in finding a solution, and it ultimately has been us who had to take steps because nobody has taken the responsibility. We have been totally left alone, and the political game has been happening on side of all the state actors, but certainly not on our side.
Thousands of migrants have arrived on the Spanish coast this year, but despite the European Union and Morocco signing an agreement to reduce migration, more than 1 million people are still waiting to cross into Europe from the North African country.
Dozens of migrants land safely after escaping by...
Honestly, so very afraid. But in the end, the rescue boat arrived. We're grateful that they found us, and finally, thanks to God, they saved us.
Thousands of migrants from across all of sub-Saharan Africa are still in Morocco, and migrants are denouncing the persecution, summary detention and aggression they've been subjected to by the Moroccan police, who forced them to live hidden in forests at the border.
When we were in Morocco, it was very hard. The police detained us. They beat us. They hunted for us. They wouldn't let us spend nights at home, rather forcing us to hide in the forests. That's what it's like there.
In 2018, Spain was the route most taken to get to Europe. The government wants to cut those figures by financing countries that violate human rights, like the Kingdom of Morocco, a kingdom which has been denounced by international bodies on multiple occasions. Thousands of migrants are still at the border of the European Union, while the member countries try to protect themselves through agreements with Morocco in order to prevent migrants from arriving.
We've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesaurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Camila Escalante. Thanks for watching.
Who's moving the chess? What interests motivate the actors behind each event?
Se despliega el tablero.
On critical moves. Investigates every event from Monday to Friday. Only on Telesur. The life is full of moments. Moments of fight. Moments of hope. Moments that transcend. Moments that you can live in. Telesur documentaries. Sundays. Only on Telesur.
为了保持身体健康，我冥想。
Para mantenerme saludable, yo corro.
To keep myself healthy, I study.
Για να διατηρηθώ υγιής, τρέφομαι σωστά.
Para mantenerme saludable, yo bailo.
Para mantenerme saludable, yo purifico mi espíritu a través del cuerpo. ¿Y tú?
Get your body. Tuesdays, only on Telesur.
Discover the cultural diversity that defines a continent. The place where art and tradition are part of the same nucleus. Artistic expressions. Values. Passion and more. Real life. Fridays. Only on Telesur.
You're watching Telesur English. I'm Camila Escalante, and these are the headlines at this hour. The Venezuelan Minister of Communication, Jorge Rodriguez, held a news conference today as a follow-up to the revelations detailed on Wednesday regarding plans by the opposition to carry out an assassination attempt and the latest foiled coup. The minister made it clear that what has been presented are not hypotheses nor speculation, that what has been presented are facts and testimonies obtained through months of intelligence work. Rodriguez said that this allowed the government to know precisely what was being planned by terrorists of the country's far right.
What is extremely dangerous is when they order killings. The assassination of the president, the assassination of the first combatant Celia Flores, when they order the assassination of Diosdado, or when they order the killing of the president of the Supreme Court, when they order the killings of social leaders of the 23 de Enero neighborhood, or of Katia, they are activating an operation which would allow them to shoot more than 140,000 machine gun rounds. We're talking about a real massacre with an extreme and violent reaction.
Uruguay has led a walkout from the General Assembly of the OAS in protest at the seating of a delegation claiming to represent Venezuela. At the first plenary session of the Assembly, the Uruguayan ambassador objected to the presence of a representative of opposition leader Juan Guaido, along with a large delegation. Uruguay pointed out that Venezuela had actually already left the Organization of American States. The walkout was joined by Mexico, Bolivia, and Nicaragua. Several Caribbean countries also spoke out against the presence of the Guaido delegation, including Antigua and Barbuda, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, and Suriname. Israeli forces have shot and killed a protesting Palestinian in occupied East Jerusalem. Heavily armed Israeli soldiers opened fire on Palestinians demonstrating against a raid.
And platform in English, a critical place committed to the truth to determine the major events that transformed the world today. On Monday, only on Venezuela. Our actions have an impact on the environment. It's our responsibility to change for the sake of our planet. Let's be part of this transition. Watch, preserve, and protect your Green Zone. Wednesdays, only on Telesur.
Can something that was negotiated between four walls and without considering the desire and claims of the parties be called an agreement? Can an ally of one of the parties act as a mediator? Can something with limited autonomy and subject to the imperial interest be called self-determination? Is it legitimate to steal territories and cultural and religious extermination? What consequences could bring the normalization of Israeli occupation in the Middle East under the pretext that they are divine, superior people called to occupy the Promised Land? U.S. plan for Palestine, agreement or theft? This is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be analyzing information, having guests, and as always, we have your company. Thank you very much. Let's talk about news. In the midst of protests, on June 25th and 26th, by request of the United States, the so-called Prosperity for Peace Conference was held in capital in Bahrain, Manama, capital of Manama. It was the space designed by the United States to finally, after so many months of silence, show a part of their plan for Palestine, a proposal that under the name of an agreement, but the truth is that it does not have the consensus of both parties, and its content shows the inequality of conditions. Neither Palestine nor Israelis were in the two-day forum. A forced wedding without fiancés? The U.S. posture is very focused on economical, financial aspects. Why? And where is the political solution? The lead actors of this project, called by the Palestinians as a slap in the face, was Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. This is what he said on June 25th. Some people have called the deal of the century, but in its essence, it is not just about making a deal. In fact, this effort is better known as the opportunity of the century, if the leadership has the courage to pursue it. It is about creating opportunities for Palestinian people and for everyone throughout the Middle East. If applied correctly, the economic plan will lead to growth and improvement of the lives of Palestinians. To create this vision, we have taken from the lessons of most successful economic transformation of the last 75 years. We have developed the most complete economic plan that has been created specifically for Palestinians and for the Middle East in general. We can take this region from being a victim of the past conflicts and turn it into a model for the advance of the trade all around the world. In the next days, I want everyone to reflect on the following questions. Should we find reasons to stay with the status quo, a broken system which favors a few at the expense of many? Or should we work to find new solutions together and fight for a brighter future full of opportunities and hope? I know what I want to choose. I thank you for taking up this challenge with me. The United States and the President Trump are committed to finding a better future for Palestinians, for the Israelis, and for the entire Middle East. By working together, we can achieve our final objective, which is true peace that leads to prosperity. Thank you very much. Just on the workshop coincided with the press conference by Anan Asawi, member of the Committee of the Organization of Liberation of Palestine in Ramallah, where he welcomed the Oman's announcement of opening an embassy in Palestine and referred to the Trump's so-called agreement of the century. If Israel is recognized, of course, it will be unacceptable because the Arab Peace Initiative declares that there cannot be recognition or standardization unless Israel is withdrawn from the occupied territories of the occupied Arab territories. Economic peace has been presented repeatedly, and it has not been materialized because it does not take into account the real components of peace. It is presented once again, recycled from before, and presented in a very naive manner, an insult to our intelligence. Let's go to some more information where the conditions seem unequal for the parties, no? Let's go to the information prepared by Sputnik team and territorial information. Let's see, it has territorial division. Here's the map of what's the fragmentation of Gaza and Cisjordania. We've got New Palestine is that orange territory, and it's fragmented. That means that there would be a new state called New Palestine that would just contain the Gaza Strip and Cisjordania. Let's not forget that Palestine claims it's not negotiable and legitimate right to conform an independent and sovereign state with Jerusalem as their capital. In Gaza, there's going to be the construction of a port, and the line we see there is going to be the boundaries with the countries, which would design Israel to the New Palestine. On the bottom it says, infrastructure and financing is very important, that in 5 years, the countries that support the agreement would give $30 billion to the projects of New Palestine. 70% would be financed by petroleum-producing countries, 20% by the U.S., who's the promoter, and 10% by the European Union. And according to this investment, it would seem that it would be proportional to how favorable their governments are with this agreement. So there would be a route between Cisjordania. So here there would be like a new state, but of course this is not yet recognized, because of course it would be fragmented and territories that are historically Palestinian are now recognized as Israeli. Is this the normalization of the occupation? Let's go to Hispan TV. On June 27, 2019, said, what do Palestinians think about the agreement of the century? There's a new polling numbers of the Center for the Studies and Evaluation of Public Opinion of the University of Arreaza that was held between the 18th and the 31st of this month. It points out that 98.4 oppose the U.S. plan, and 95.8 think that the rejection of the Palestinian National Authority will lead to the failure of the plan. No one has the right to speak on behalf of Palestine. This was said by Al-Mayadin. This was a recent interview. Mustafa Barghouti, Secretary General of the Movement for Palestinian National Initiative.